Everybody, what's going on? Dace here, and today we're going to be doing, just a bit of a guide for Novice mode in Crimzon Clover. I had a viewer express interest in me doing this, and since I hadn't done one yet, but I had done one for Arcade Original, I figured, you know what, that would probably be beneficial, and so I decided to just bang that out tonight. One thing I will specify right from the get-go is that unlike my Arcade Original clear, which I feel, it's been a long time since I did that one, but I feel that one was fairly in-depth with a lot of things to specify. This one is going to be different because even though if you're, let's say you're not so experienced, I get that Novice mode will feel intense at times, but for the most part, there isn't actually a whole lot you need to keep in mind. There are just a few simple things you can kind of apply to everything. So the first stage, there really isn't going to be much to say. If you're comfortable point blanking, then do as much of that as you can, as much of the lock-on as you can as well. And I get that if you haven't cleared the game yet, you won't have the ship I'm using, but the same thing sort of applies regardless of which ship. You still go up against the same enemies and bosses, all that kind of stuff. So for the most part, everything is pretty straightforward here. One thing you might want to get used to doing is just kind of learning how to balance your locking on and your regular firing, just to stay on top of enemies. And that's something only you can figure out for yourself, so it's not like I can explain that kind of stuff. But that's all you really need to do in this first stage, is just learn the flow of the enemies, all that. Now one thing, this run specifically, this is actually the Novice run that I did before even starting to tackle and practice Arcade Original. I think it was like at the start of the year or something, maybe Christmas, I'm not sure. But anyway, the point is, if you can see what I'm explaining in this one, and that kind of makes sense to you, and you get some confidence just seeing or hearing me talk you through it, then you can certainly do it and lose lives. Because what you can do, if, like, obviously I'm not expecting anyone to go for a no miss. This is just the only recording I have right now available, so you can definitely just focus on getting as many extra lives as possible. And as long as you're just cleaning things up here and there through practice, you will absolutely get this. So I wasn't really focusing on explaining much about this boss. There really isn't too much to say, though. I think throughout the whole run on this mode anyway, things appear to be very slow moving, like projectiles. So there really isn't much you need to worry about. There's plenty of time to just respond to what's going on. So anyway, I'll get a little more in depth with specifics going forward, but I just wanted to get that bit of a rant out of the way. So for the most part, in this stage, you have the same tanks and little jets filtering in, and those medium-sized dudes that shoot the purple shots. As you can see, all they're really doing is firing like a little stream or two of the purple darts or whatever. These guys, the big tanks, can be a little tricky, but if you're just concentrating all your firepower on them, then you'll have no issue. For these dudes, the guy that just blew up, I always go from one side and then the next to lure their shots, and that way I can keep a bit of free space in the middle and just take them out faster. If you're all over the place, reacting, like hyper reacting more or less, you're just going to create a more chaotic situation, and you don't need to do that. Like I said, things are fairly slow moving, so you really, a lot of the time in stages and boss fights especially, you don't need to do much moving. Just small adjustments here and there. So like for this first attack, like boom, already into the next phase, and you didn't even need to dodge anything. Pretty much same thing there, like done already, and there was nothing threatening about that whatsoever. And then just stay on top of all these guys. By the way, it's well, it's a little beyond July 5th now, but that was the 1 year anniversary of me starting to do 1cc's consciously anyway. That's when I like really realized what they were and just started shooting for that and actually playing these games with the intention of clearing them. So yeah, that's pretty exciting for me. 1 year in, things have been very slow lately. I've had a lot on the go, and I actually haven't been playing shmups. I got into Monster Hunter a month ago, and whenever I get into a phase of that, nothing else gets touched. So I've just been going crazy hard into that. But anyway, I'll keep things a little bit focused. This boss is so cool. I love how engaging and creative this game is. It's so fantastic. So anyway, lock on. Like ideally, you don't. It's not that you have to shoot for the full lock-ons. I like doing that, especially in this boss fight. But anyway, same thing. Nothing threatening is really happening. It looks like there's a lot going on, but you can kind of just cling to the bottom and just zero in on that central area. And just keep on locking on and releasing and firing. This is where you might want to use a brake if things get too crazy, or a bomb if that's where you're at. But as you can see, okay, this part might trip you up a little bit. You just got to make sure you have a clear path through the red dots so that you're already on your way to one side from the other side to avoid those longer streams of red darts. But boom, this guy's done. And the reason I'm not going... I don't recall exactly what I was shooting for in this one, other than the Novice. But as you can see, I'm avoiding getting the 1-ups. But like I said, if you are really struggling with this mode, then definitely just grab 1-ups. Because I think by the end of it, you can have something like 10 lives or something crazy. So this level will certainly, I think for me anyway, an arcade original, and a lot of people I talk to, stage 3 in a lot of shmups can typically be where you'll experience quite a mess. I don't recall if Novice mode is going to be like that. Obviously there's a lot going on right now for sure, but same sort of thing. Just learn the enemies. These big guys that are coming out now will shoot those blue ones. If you don't kill them fast enough, they'll fire more stuff. But yeah, anyway, for these guys though, the one that's right here, you just stay in the middle, nothing crazy. Get rid of the flowers. Just always be locking on. And keep in mind, you don't have to do a full lock on. You can do very, very rapid bursts where it's just like ching, 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 ching. Another prime example, like the big flower, you're really not needing to dodge anything. There's like nothing even approaches you in a threatening way, and then it's already toast, and you're good, just having been at the bottom or whatever. So this might be a halfway boss that takes a little getting used to, but you just stay to the side so that it finishes its rotation and it doesn't hit you. And then of course these bursts will happen, and yeah, it's just something you gotta do until you know it. Like, there's only so much I can say for each step of the journey, so to speak. But if it helps, just, yeah, go over this video. Even look ahead. Like, I know sometimes it's not, like when you're in the thick of it, when you're actually playing, it's not always easy to look ahead. But do that as much as possible, because sometimes when you see the entirety of an attack pattern that's heading your way, you'll see a very obvious clear path, and you'll realize, oh wow, if I just stay in this one spot, it's like a corridor of safety. I can just stay here and nothing's going to even happen, even though there are all these bullets everywhere. So we're just inching from one side to the next, nothing crazy, and then back this way. And remember, keep utilizing the lock-on. Like, I cannot stress that enough. That is a godsend. And honestly, I'm not using my brake and my bombs, mainly because the way I'm perceiving things on screen with my experience, like there's no reason. If something happened where I was like, oh, okay, I really need to use it now, then that's the case. If you're not in that same boat, then please use your brake and your double brake and your bombs as often as you need to. Because like, just because I'm not using these things as often as you might, that doesn't matter. Use it when you need to, because that's what's going to matter for your actual runs. Not performing the way I'm doing things or whatever. Plus, every run is different, so there could be one time where I do it and another time I don't, just because something got a little too close for comfort, and boom, that's when you want to use it. So just, yeah, like I said, learn how to balance like what you're focusing on, what you're prioritizing, and also learn how to balance your resources too. Never hesitate to use your stuff, because even if the run doesn't go anywhere, at least you're learning more and more about what works, what doesn't, and what you can get away with, and what you're comfortable with, all that. So here, you can kind of just stay to the one side like that. Again, nothing threatening is happening here. Very small movements will just keep you in a safe position. And boom, we're on to the next phase. This will certainly take a bit of practice. And if I'm not mistaken, bullet speed speeds up if you are in your brake or double brake, I think. So this part, especially if you're having a challenge and you're using double brake, just attempt to do it without, or learn when you can afford to trigger that and when you would rather things be at the slowest speed. Unless I totally have that incorrect, but like I said, it's been a while since I played this, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Boom, I love it. Another thing too, if you are really struggling, and let's say there's an instance, I'm not sure if there is or not in novice mode, but let's say there isn't a time where you see a 1-up, but there are like, 10,000 gold stars or 30,000, go for the stars, because that will essentially get you closer to the next extend, the next 1-up. So for this stage, just stay on top of all this stuff that's flying at you. Again, it looks like a lot, it looks chaotic, but the shots that are coming at you aren't really anything to care about, because it's just like a few piddly attacks and then everything's destroyed. So another thing too, there will be a few specific times where I specify this, I think in the next stage, especially the final stage, where it's just like a great example, but learn how to capitalize on your bullet cancels. So what I mean by that, if you're not familiar, certain enemies, like let's say the medium-sized or large enemies, when you destroy them, they will cancel out all the other enemy bullets on the screen at that time. So use that to your advantage, because that is a very, very powerful tool that I feel is often underutilized. So for these dudes, again, Nothing's coming at you that's a threat. It's literally just small, tiny adjustments, either left or right, just to stay on the outside of whatever's coming directly at you, or appears to be coming your way. And just keep that concentrated shot on those guys, locking on, and they're gone. This part can probably feel very intimidating if you've never played the game before or anything like this, but everything's a learning experience. I really love this part. It's just the tiniest little movements, the tiniest movements. And it's going to be tricky at first, but keep your main shot on whatever is like at the top of the screen. I get that they move, so it's going to be tricky, but just keep as much damage on those things when you can. This part will be another tricky part if you're not used to what's going on here, but just like I said, make use of your break mode. Like, it's so ridiculously powerful. Like, all those tanks are gone already. And yeah, like, as you can see, the health is just melting away. We didn't even need to deal with anything else. So this is a time where there isn't a 1-up. I went for the gauge up, I think, because I just want to keep that looking healthy. But like I said, if you want extra lives, then go for the stars. Sometimes when there are tons of enemies, you might not notice the shots that they do fire. So just, yeah, always make sure you're keeping your eyes peeled for their projectiles. And just very simple back and forth. The only thing you're really paying attention to, or at least myself, are the pink shots here. The blue ones are just like, okay, you know where they are. It's just the streams of pink ones that are, in my opinion, the main focus. Second last boss. So this boss is way harder in arcade original. In novice mode, as you can see, I know I'm saying that a lot, but like I just cannot drill that home enough. Like the bullet speed, everything is moving very slow. I get that if you're not experienced, it may feel fast, and that's fine. But the more you play this, the more you'll just realize, oh wow, there's plenty of time to like work with the situation. And it helps when you know the attacks too. That's a part of what builds an awareness of viewing something as not super fast. When you know what's going to happen, you can already kind of be, yeah, moving where you need to be. But yeah, nothing serious for that dude either. And let me know in the comments if there's anything you do want more in-depth information about. Please let me know, because I'm more than willing. Like, it's tricky for me to articulate everything that might be relevant to someone less experienced. I get that. So I have no issue revisiting, answering questions, any of that kind of stuff. So please let me know if there's anything you're struggling with, because that just helps me, yeah, know what I can, yeah, just dig deeper into. Because there may be things that I'm just not focusing on right now. But if you're really struggling with it, I will certainly set aside the time. So yeah, lots of enemies here. Final stage. Learn the positions of those big cannons, because those can be nasty at times with everything else going on. And always use break mode. See, another prime example, the tank nothing was even close to us that it was firing, and it was already toast. So you don't need to be freaking out over the shots coming from these massive hulks just cruising along, because you have more than enough time to stay on top of everything. Now, of course, if there's like two at once, then it gets a little trickier, but the same rules apply. Just focus on one, get it down, focus on the next. For these guys, just stay right in the middle, and all you're really needing to avoid in that situation are those brownish, reddish, orange colored shots. And obviously you don't want to run straight into the side things that you're kind of trapped by while you're in that middle section. We got lots of tanks here, so just kind of swaying back and forth, locking on. Same thing, toast before any of those shots even get near us. Same with the second big pod dude. It's a game that is great at intimidating, but when you kind of just start seeing it for what it is, you kind of just gain a sense of confidence and an understanding that you can just be in control. So we got 3 tanks scrolling in from the right side on an angle here. So 1, 2, again, nothing's coming at us. That's super risky, and they're all gone. And this is just nice and easy, back and forth, and it's toast. And there isn't even much back and forth. It's kind of just like inching over. More tanks and the big cruiser. Forget the name. But anyway, just one side to the next side, over. Nothing crazy. And you can more or less just be locking on here. There are definitely other ways to deal with this boss. This is just how I did it. Since I was going for a no miss, that does kind of alter what I'm willing to risk at times. And always make use of the bomb reset if you're at a point where your bombs are getting way more expensive to charge and fire. Because that can sometimes be all the difference. So yeah, for this dude, just tons of locking on and just learning the attack patterns. Those blue shots can be nasty, so if you're even somewhat doubtful, just fire something off. It's better to do that than take a hit. The one thing you want to keep in mind, I'm pretty sure it works the same way in Novice mode, but if you kill these dudes too quickly, then another one will just keep coming, like a third one, I mean. So you want to learn the timing so that you don't need to deal with a third one, unless you know what you're doing and that's not an issue, then yeah, that's fine. So like I said, just stay right in front of those jets, take out the 4 tanks. This game is so good. I'm excited to beat the next difficulty up. I think it's unlimited or whatever. The only reason I haven't is because my controllers are wonky right now, so certain games are just strictly on hold at this point. So yeah, anyway, an example of like the bullet canceling, which we've been seeing plenty, but these big laser blasting dudes, like this one that just blew up, those will always give you a bullet cancel. So it's one of those things where sometimes you can let yourself get cornered in between laser beams if you know your timing, and if you know that, okay, it's fine because I have enough time to destroy it before anything crazy happens, like just getting cut off, no space left, and then you're taking a hit. Like, but guaranteed, if you just put the time in, you just are diligent and just practice a bit here and there, and you just stick with it, you will absolutely clear this game. So we have these little minions firing their shots. Again, just easy back and forth swaying. You'll get a feel for the timing of the shots. Like, it's nothing crazy, but if it does feel that way, then one thing to just keep in mind is like up one side, down, sweep across, up. And that will certainly get you through. And just like obviously back and forth. So for this, just one side, lure the shots far enough, but obviously you want to leave space so that you can swing back. Then watch out for the laser blast and all these little shots coming down. Nothing crazy though. As you can see, that just took one little adjustment over. Now this part may feel intense, but again, it's just something you're going to need to face and learn. And boom. And that phase did not last long either. Double break is so powerful, it's crazy. So in Novice mode, you're not dealing with any of the bounce projectiles. He's literally just bouncing around, so it's pretty easy to avoid. You can kind of gauge when he's going to go up high and when he's not. And now for the TLB. So just keep as much going on this dude as possible. Concentrated shot, as many lock-ons as possible. Either full or just rapid. And then for this, you're fine to kind of just stay to one side like that. Just learn the timing of when the blast is going to happen and you're fine. This is where you might, if you don't want to dodge this, just use a break or a bomb just to get through it quickly. And it's on to the last. So just small movements, and then just learning how to dodge that. Just inching over like a lot of other things. And then for this is going to take... It's easy to mess this up sometimes when you're getting used to it, but you're just going kind of not in full circles all the time. It really depends where he's positioned. And then the final attack. So this will probably feel like the most intense attack in the game because there's just a lot of different angles happening, but like I said, like I keep saying, just use everything you have just to get through this. Your resources are there for you to use and for you to succeed, so yeah, always make use. And there you go, that's all there is to it. This one was fairly casual because, yeah, as stated previously, there isn't so much in the way of specifics that I need to cover. But yeah, at the same time, as I mentioned, yeah, let me know if there is anything you do want additional information on or help with, because I will certainly, provide that. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for checking this out, and have a stellar day, and we will see you next time.